Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, do we have any state and/or federal legislative updates? Being none, brings us to C. We have none, Ms. Corleen. Brings us to item D, proclamation. Item 2, Parish President Archie Chasson to present a proclamation proclaiming the month of April 2023 as Second Chance Month. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas nearly all incarcerated individuals will eventually leave prison and return to communities across the state, and whereas formerly incarcerated individuals face many hurdles in securing employment, housing, transportation, and health care, and whereas working with formerly incarcerated people to create opportunities for them to be productive members of society benefits their families and communities in many ways, improving the safety and preventing and reducing crime. And whereas efforts are underway at the federal, state, and local levels to establish programs and policies focused on removing the barriers that prevent formerly incarcerated people from pursuing healthy and productive lives. And whereas the people of Lafourche Parish are called upon to observe Second Chance Month through actions and programs that promote awareness of challenges facing those who have paid their debt and opportunities to unlock second chances. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President of Lafourche, do hereby proclaim April 22 as Second Chance Month. And I think Ms. Whitmore, Sherry, and Cherry are here.
If you don't mind, state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Sherry Wilmore. My address is 7 Indiana 703. I am the community coordinator for me for the Department of Corrections for the Federal Parish. On Thursday, April 7, 2023, at the Warren J. Harris Civic Center in Indiana for 10 a.m. The people will hold a job and resource fair is open to the public as well as persons who are just involved. From April 1st through April 30th, 2023, we're doing a second annual Sight and Right campaign. What does that mean? When you have readers, a lot of people will realize the purpose in our complexes, we can do their education program, such as sight tests, parents and class, those things that make you better. So we realize that is the need in the barrier for selecting sight glass, so there's class and not metal, and we also put on collecting your ball that allows persons to learn that it's going to help you to create a goal and plan. Thank you and have a great day, and a lot of people allow me to be part of it.
Very good. That was a lot of information. Thank you. Okay, item 3, Parish President Archie Chasson to present a proclamation proclaiming the month of April 2023 as Fair Housing Month. Once again, Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas Louisiana Open Housing Act, Louisiana Revised Statute 51:2601 through 2614 prohibits discrimination on housing based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or handicap. And whereas Lafourche Parish government has dedicated itself to bettering the efforts to realize fair housing for the citizens of Lafourche Parish, whereas Lafourche Parish government desires to increase the public's awareness regarding fair housing in the Louisiana Open Housing Act. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President of Lafourche, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Fair Housing Month. I don't think anybody is here. Typically, we do this every year for a lot of the grants that we have to work with.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. Item E, presentation or updates.
So I have one more proclamation, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead. Absolutely. While we're in proclamations, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Whereas child abuse and neglect are serious problems affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires inputs and actions from everyone. And whereas every child deserves to grow up in a nurturing environment free from abuse, neglect, violence, and endangerment of any kind. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape our future. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for the victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas we acknowledge we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. Whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President Lafourche, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Child Abuse Awareness Month. And I think we have Shannon Grove from the Advocacy Center here to accept the proclamation.
Thank you all very much for recognizing the Advocacy Center. To support awareness on child abuse. If you don't mind, state your name and address for the record, since we're recording it. That's no problem. My name's Shannon Grove. Be either one. Business 705. Very good. Thank you very much for what you do, Shannon. Much appreciated. All right, we good, Mr. President? Move to item E, presentations and or updates. None. Legal advisor report. None. Item G, engineers and architect reports. All right, Jack, you got the floor.
Good evening, Jack Plaisance with T. Baker Smith at 1100 South Acadia Road in Thibodaux. I passed around an update to you ladies and gentlemen on our 3 projects, and I'll go through that now and entertain any questions. On East Side Drainage, the Phase 1 work is all complete at this time. We did do some coordinating this month with Lafourche Parish Water District and the Public Works Department about a potential water leak on one of the areas that we worked in, and it was determined that it was not related to the project. We also had a resolution last month accepting the project by the Parish Council, and that's been submitted to DOTD in aim to close out the project. We also are scheduling a planning meeting with Public Works to refine the scope for Phase 2 of this project. That'll be forthcoming soon. Second project is West Side Drainage Improvements. This is the DOTD statewide flood control application that we submitted back in October. We did receive good news from the, or I should say the administration did receive some good news and got notification that our application is included in the 23-24 recommended construction program. So that's next going to go to the state legislature in the upcoming session next month. So we're anxious to see that project move forward and funded by DOTD. Finally is the GIS portal, the Graphic Information Systems portal that we're working on. We're continuing to make progress on this in the second phase of integration, coordinating with Public Works on a regular basis, and planning to meet with them in the next few weeks to do some coordinating and identify some future tasks and our progress on that. And that's it. Any questions for me?
Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, Jack, on that phase two, that's the pump station on the east side?
Yes,
right
sir. Yes.
there? Did y'all come up with an area to put it, or y'all still studying?
We have an area identified. Honestly, to you, it's a matter of funding on that, and I know that there's some coordinating that has to be done with the levy district. So that's kind of where we stand now.
Because Wendell's retiring, but I think he works part-time.
I think he's still involved. That's right.
Yeah, he still goes a couple of days, but, okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other engineers and architects? I don't see any others in the audience. Last call. All right, item H, public wishing to address the council public hearings, agenda items, et cetera. Ms. Garline.
Mr. Ramon Barrera, if you come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Ramon Barrera. My address is 133 Blue End. So I was coming to discuss the transmission lines that are down across the parish. I was here January 10th, and I guess there was some updates. So I was wondering if you guys could get me a status on your progress.
Dylan, we don't have anything new? Nope, still in the same quagmire we were in.
So I asked for the poll agreement, so we can determine what the, what's Entergy's, I guess, lease agreement with the previous company that went out of business. There was a poll agreement in place that probably outlines the, in the event the company goes out of business, is going to fall back to Entergy, or someone's going to take ownership of it. So
Yeah, so Dylan, have you ever heard that, what he's referring to as a poll agreement, which would be between the local utility, Entergy essentially, and I guess telecommunications companies, is that right, Ramon?
correct.
I have not. Mr. Barrera did reach out to me, and I did forward that to Energy requesting it. Have not received it to date, but can reach back out.
All right. I'll reach back out.
Okay.
They are all over though. Every time that I talk to Mr. Barrera and you look, there are wires everywhere.
Oh, now that
They're
you,
down.
yeah, I'm sure that I brought it to the attention, people probably are seeing it.
Yeah,
now.
they're all
It's
over
pretty
the
obvious.
place.
And it is a hazard. Someone goes off the road,
True.
you get decapitated. You touch a line, no one in here can guarantee that line's not hot.
Yeah. The farmers have caught heck with them too because
Yeah,
they're
so
down.
it's an issue that needs some attention, and if we got to get Entergy's representative here, I think that would be the next step.
Unfortunately, she was here last time. She's not here tonight.
So is it possible we can have her here for the next meeting, request that? And let her
You
give
want
us
to
an
reach out,
update?
or we could put Ramon directly in touch with and let him bird dog this if we can do that too. Because it's something he's passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we get that.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
partner.
it.
Appreciate it. All right, brings us to item I, council reports, news, and announcements. Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, just, they got that balloon festival Friday and Saturday, I think, in Golden Meadow. That's the first one that they ever have like that. So if you want to bring the kids, and they got all kind of other stuff. So quite welcome to go. Oak Ridge Park and Golden Meadow.
Hope to see you there. I'll state, as I did last time, the Easter extravaganza will occur in Lockport on April 1st, Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Lockport Ball Fields, free to the kids. Be face painting, kettle corn, and then there'll be 12,000 eggs out in the ball fields for the kids. And they do have a section for the younger kids as well as the older kids and challenged kids. Also, April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, La Fête du Mont, right here at the intersection of Highway 90 and LA 1, is a festival which benefits 5 nonprofit organizations in the community of Lockport. Please come out. I'll say it again at the next meetings. Mr. Grove.
Thursday, Nicholls State has their spring football game. If you want to come out and check out the team, support them. I know Ron will probably be there. And then there's a concert downtown by Red Goose and Roxas Bar Thursday. Snapper and the Fish Sticks and Flow Tribe playing this Thursday.
Mr. Melvin.
It's a little early, but I'm going to announce it again just in case. The Thibodeau Farmers Fair is Thursday, May 4th, Friday 6th, Saturday, and Sunday. So first week in May.
All right, thank you very much. On that, brings us to item J, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I will entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 4, ordinance rescinding ordinance number 5576, which established a three-way stop at the intersection of Maywood Place and Waverly Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1 and 2, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, and requiring removal of the two stop signs located on Waverly Road where it intersects with Maywood Place. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 4? Second call for public, ordinance 4. Last and final call, public input on ordinance number 4. Anyone from the council wants to discuss this ordinance? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 5, ordinance amending ordinance number 4943 and amending and reenacting Chapter 26 offenses and miscellaneous provisions, Article 5, miscellaneous provisions, Section 26-127, Parish Coroner Compensation of the Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances to correct the salary and fees of the Lafourche Parish Coroner. Can someone move on this for me? Moved by Councilman Grohl. Can I get a second to bring it to the, second by Councilman Lorraine? That said, would anyone from the audience like to comment on item 5? Okay, I thought our journalist was coming to talk. All right, anyone from the council, second call? Anyone from the council? From the public? Second call. Anyone from the council, third call? Now we'll discuss it from the council. And if y'all want me to answer some questions as much, if you wouldn't mind, Councilwoman Delenn, can you please take over the gavel? Thank you. You want to recognize him first?
Mr. Irby?
Yes, Mr. Orte, could you kind of just explain to us exactly what we're voting on over here? I know we spoke about it before, and maybe you can kind of explain to it and get us all on the right page and see what type of action we're going to take on this. Thank you.
Absolutely. So this all started, as some of you may or may not know, in the fall of last year, I guess around September or October. We ran into some problems with the way the salary, the way this ordinance was previously made, which was I think in 2011, 2012. And since that time, there's been several meetings between myself, the administration, our council clerk's office, the district attorney's office, as well as with the coroner's office. And where we stand is this ordinance is simply to basically set the salary of the coroner. This does not address the buildings, which is not part of this ordinance, so we're not discussing that. And this doesn't pertain to anything outside of the coroner's pay. Specifically, it is the salary and the fees, which we have been paying for the last 10 years, is a $50,000 salary, and we've been paying fees. The ordinance that is in existence contradicts the way he's been getting paid for the last 10 years. So for the last several months, I've been simply trying to make the paperwork match the way we were paying him previously. So with that said, what I've done is I've put it at $50,000 and I've put it with fees. However, the fees do have a cap on it, and that's by what we saw, myself with the administration's input, as being the cap on fees. I know there's been some contestant by attorneys on the other side, on the coroner side, but from what we researched and what we figured out, we put that cap at that number because that's what we felt state statute allowed. Now, I will say, the information that's in here comes from a bunch of different sources. I want to thank, I know Mitch is not here tonight, our parish administrator, for assisting me in this, but Mitch did a lot of work and research and trying to figure out where we're at, along with Ms. Carlene, on figuring out where we were at and how we got to this place. Additionally, Mitch also reached out and researched what our neighbors were doing. And so basically, it comes out to almost the same rough number when you add in the salary and the fees. So I know there's been these investigative reports, and then there's this investigation going on. This has nothing to do with any of that. This is clearing up our paperwork and allowing us to move forward from today forward. This ordinance does not address the paperwork inaccuracies that existed from now for the last 10 years. It's only from today going forward. This doesn't address that. There's a whole other issue with that. So something else I wanted to comment on. So As some of y'all may know, when this came to light in October, we simply stopped paying for autopsies. And for those who, myself included, that works with the coroner's office, it became a big problem. And it was heightened by a recent incident in Thibodeau, where we really, looking, I want to thank Archie because he got on the line and really jumped through some hoops to get that autopsy done because it was very, very important. But what I don't want to do is have our parish coroner's office holding us back, holding the sheriff's office, police officers, and from deceased family members from having these autopsies resolved and resolved quickly. And as y'all know, that's the number of autopsies has gone up drastically because of the number of ODs from the fire department side. I know Jim as well. We see it. It's just nuts right now. If we don't do this tonight, it leaves our ordinance still wacky. And before I forget, I also want to mention, right now, we have in the budget, there's no budget amendment required to do this. That's from what I've talked to Mitch and what we've looked at. As of right now, now at the end of the year, we always have to do a budget amendment or adjustment based on how the numbers fell on what we projected. But right now, there's no budget amendment because it's essentially how we were paying him at the beginning of the year, of this year, is all I'm doing. But what I want to say was that if this doesn't pass, it leaves the ordinance still in limbo. And with respect to fees, he can simply send the bodies out to, like he was, out to Broussard, and we're subject to paying those fees. Am I correct in that, in saying that, Mr. President? So, it's been a very challenging few weeks, especially with the incident that happened in Thibodeau. And what I don't want to be part of is how was it worded? Obstruction of justice. I don't want to be part of any obstruction of justice. So that's where I stand,
Mr. Grow?
Yeah, so along those lines, I want to make sure, and I'm not even saying this, I'm not even sure where I'm voting on this just yet. I got hopefully y'all have some more comments about it. But my vote, whether it's a yes or no, has nothing to do with the investigation. I completely put the investigation aside. I'm voting on it as some of the things that you said. The question I do have is, how long have we paid and because of the investigation, we're not privy to what's going on behind the scenes. How long has the coroner been paid $50,000?
Since 2011, when the ordinance changed.
Okay.
And when I say the ordinance, I mean the budget ordinance. This was never amended. The administration amended the budget ordinance back in 2011 to show the budget ordinance is $50,000.
So voting on this would set it at 50, and then the $300 fee, that would clear up some of the bills that were coming for 500, because it would be a max of 300.
As I understand, Mr. Otan, this is not going to address anything from 5/25 today retroactively.
No, right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So there was some bills that weren't 300. Now they're going to be 300 from whether you sign, whenever this is passed and signed.
I would assume if he's agreed to that. Now, if he still sends a bill for $500, I don't, do we only pay the 300 and not the 200? Still opens up some questions, but I guess that's a discussion I would have to have with the coroner after this would pass.
And passing this does nothing, with the pass. Or going back to paying where we started before, and it's money that's in the budget. Okay.
Councilman Adams?
Yeah, I don't want to touch this at all. I'm sorry. There's just too much going around there as far as the investigation, the news, Lee Zurich. I mean, I don't see how we can touch this right now, honestly, regardless of what's going on because of all the investigations. I understand that you want to try to fix some paperwork, but did we ever get back an opinion? So I don't want to touch this at all. I think we should just leave it alone and wait till the investigations and wait till all the reports are done. I understand this paperwork clear up, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not touching it. I'm staying away from it as far as I can.
Councilman Ote?
Yeah, so look, I hear him loud and clear. Unfortunately, I know nothing about this investigation you're talking about, so I can't speak on that, and I'm not even taking that into consideration. All I know is the mess I got in a few weeks ago when there was no autopsies being done, and I also know that we had to sign bills, and our taxpayers had to pay more money when we had to start using Broussard. So if we want to pay 3 times or $300,000 or whatever that anticipated bill would be from this other, I'm not doing that to to my constituents. It's not fair to them. But I don't know anything about the investigation, so I can't really comment. I don't know.
Well, I called the state.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thibault, not to cut you off, I didn't forget. So on the opinions, so that's why it took from the fall to now, is because we were hoping for opinions.
Okay.
And now those opinions, Mr. President, did you get a letter from the state saying that we weren't going to get any from the Attorney General? Someone got a letter.
Yeah, so the district attorney and I both got one basically saying that because there was an ongoing criminal investigation, they were not going to issue the opinion. So my hope is that if the investigation ever concludes, when it does, we can go back to the AG and ask for an opinion about not only this, I guess, still going forward, but what does the retroactive stuff look like? Because I still have some big questions about that.
Yeah, I spoke to the lieutenant in charge of the investigation today. He called me because I wanted to find out if it was actually true, because I didn't, I want to make sure for myself. And yeah, there's a criminal investigation going on. So like I said, I don't want to touch any of this. I don't even want to have my name on it, said that I voted yeah or no or whatever. I just want to stay away from it.
Point taken.
Councilman Jones?
Yes, Mr. President, if the AG didn't issue an opinion, how much we're paying Broussard for autopsy?
So the Broussard bills were about approximately $3,800 a piece. In the last couple of incidents that have happened, we're able to get another pathologist to come in for a much cheaper rate at about $1,500 an autopsy, which was a little bit cleaner because she comes to our facility. We don't have to travel with the bodies, and it also saves time for the sheriff's office detectives who have to be there and present for any of the autopsies.
What about Jefferson Parish? We used to use them back in the day.
Yeah, so I had a very long conversation with Dr. Satanovich. The reason Jefferson quit taking our bodies was because they lost 2 of their pathologists and just couldn't handle the volume anymore. He did say that sometime in April he was supposedly hiring another one, and that we could, if that was the case, then he might be able to take a few, but it was still going to be very selective about what they took. So either way, we're still going to end up paying well above that $300. In a lot of cases, as Councilman Ota and I have learned throughout this process, was that a lot of times you want a pathologist to look at a body, right? Because it's criminal or suspicious in nature. Not every autopsy the local coroner can do or would like to do, because they may miss something, they may not be prepared enough to do it, and you want somebody with a very specific trained set of eyes to be able to do that.
And that brings up another question. You got to have certain qualification or certification to do these autopsies?
Not necessarily. We had this discussion too that whether it's the state constitution or the parish's charter, you don't even have to be an MD to be the coroner, right? If no other qualified medical provider qualifies for the office, then Councilman Adams could be the coroner, right? Right? Just as an example. But I think Councilman Wendell volunteered earlier as well. But and in those conversations with Dr. Satanovich, it was he's more of an administrator, and he farms out the autopsies to the pathologists that work for him. I guess it's just depending on how that elective coroner wants to run his or her office.
And the AG, he did not issue an opinion on this, right?
No,
All right, thank you.
Councilman Grow?
So bodies are not stacking up right now. And, it was mentioned about the autopsy needed from that incident in Thibodeau. But, I think all are important. Every autopsy for insurance, for family, resolutions, or for, anything, you'd want to have that done, insurance. But what are we paying? The sub is not Broussard. What are we paying? You said $1,500, something like that? So it's like 33 autopsies get you to $50,000. Okay, that answers that.
Yeah, I'll comment on as far as what Jerry said in terms of forensic pathologists, what's available. And what we learned is that not many in the state, and they kind of have us. So whatever they kind of want to charge is pretty much we kind of stuck with. We went in thinking we were going to be paying a certain fee, and we came out not paying that fee. And also, one last comment, if you don't mind, is what I will say is that this ordinance will need to be reviewed again at the end of the year going into next year. This is something, for some reason, this particular office has not been reviewed for the last 10 years. And that's where this paperwork, maybe we could have caught this, I don't know. but on a set salary for an elected position in this parish, that we set the salary and the fees for, that should be reviewed more than once every 10 years on our side. So we need to make sure that we bring this up at the end of the year, going into the next year, that we set that salary and preferably before there's another election, so that whoever's in there knows what they're coming into. Anyway, that's
Mr.
all.
Lorraine.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that by doing this, setting the salary, it has no effect on the investigation? None at all?
None whatsoever, Daniel. It's from today forward. It does not address the last 10
Right.
years. And it simply, all this does is puts it what we were doing at the beginning of last year, what we were doing for the last 10 years. Although it does put a cap that's maybe lower on the fee schedule, but it's by state statute.
You're just making some minor corrections
That's correct.
and holding them to the fire.
That's correct. I'll say this is one of the most complicated, if you Google, which we've done, and you look at coroners throughout this state, it's the biggest mess because of the way it's set up by the state statutes on how we pay them. Would you agree with that, Mr. President? It's very complicated. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, and I do have a question. So this vote
Yeah,
tonight,
so I'll take I'm going to quit talking.
Okay.
I've said enough.
thank you.
All right.
This vote tonight is not to set the salary for Dr. King. It's to set the salary for that position of coroner?
Yes, that's correct. This is not specifically the current coroner. It is for the coroner's office.
Correct.
The coroner, not the coroner's office, coroner compensation, parish coroner.
Right.
Correct, you make a good point.
But it is going to be for his pay going forward, though, right?
Till the end of the year, or until this council brings it back up, which, once again, Thibault, it needs to be reviewed. You know, we review salaries, we've increased salaries, and this one hasn't been touched in 10 years. And that's probably why we had the paperwork. Anyway, Mr. Grove.
And this is an elected position. I don't know if that was mentioned. Do you know when that election is held again?
It's this year.
This year.
This year.
Would you be opposed to putting an amendment in here to have a sunset on it, like for the end of this year?
So
Force whoever's on this council to address it, making the budget for next year? Are you opposed to that, or?
So Ms. Corleen is grumbling like, it can be brought back up.
You're writing in pencil.
But
you don't have to do it all.
but it could be brought back. I mean, it can be brought back up at any point in time. It can be brought up at the next meeting, another proposed ordinance to amend it.
Right.
So I just would be hesitant to, because you'd have to have language in there if it's not addressed. Then what? Anyway.
Okay.
I respectfully ask that we don't do that, but I mean that's your decision. All right, thanks, Mr. Window.
I didn't see it in there, maybe I overlooked it. What is the fee cap that we have on the extra fees other than the salary?
It's by state statute, which is, as we understand it, $300 from our side. Now, the attorney's getting there, but it's state statute sets what those fees are. So we don't have the ability to say we're going to pay whatever we're at when it comes to fees. We are limited by state statute.
So that's not a fee cap being a total, so I can, if I was the coroner, I could charge you for one autopsy, I could charge you for all 750 people that died in Lafourche.
And
So there's no limit.
Correct. And my understanding is he can send out as many as he wants, and we're on the hook for paying them.
Right.
So you're right. I mean, he has a lot of discretion when it comes to that, absolutely. Which was an eye-opener in of itself to me, because I'm still confused on what's required and what's not in terms of forensic pathologists, et cetera. Mr. Adams.
Okay, now I'm confused. So the fees go to the coroner, who's already getting a salary?
State statute allows you to have, correct me if I'm wrong, allows you to have salary and fees.
I wouldn't look at it. I just don't get it.
Or something else.
You're already getting paid to do a job. I understand you got fees, like you got to pay somebody to come do it, or you need supplies to do it. I get that, but like you're already getting paid to do the job. So why do we have to pay you extra to do your job? That's the part I don't get on this now. It made no sense to me. I mean, I get paid to do my job. I don't get anything extra to do it.
And I'm sure you're not making what you were making 10 years ago, right?
Well, I mean, he's not a full-time job just like us.
Right.
So $50,000, I'm fine giving him a salary. But I mean, now I'm going to give him a salary and he can make as much money as he wants? That makes no sense.
Yeah. So you have to follow state statute. And once again, so to be honest though, Thibault, the administration would prefer that we had just adjusted the salary, specifically the president. My fear was to bring this in front of the people and in front of the council at a $85,000, $90,000 salary when we already have all this quagmire going on. So for me, it's like, I'd rather just pay, once again, and I know I'm discussing, I shouldn't because I
Yeah, it's
have the
fine.
gavel. But anyway, I just was trying to go back to the way we paid for the last 10 years, and that's it, nothing more,
Okay.
because it is confusing. Mr. Araby.
What is the, how does the administration feel about this? I know it's our duty to take action on it, but I was just wondering how y'all feel about it. I know y'all did all the research and things like that. What is your recommendation as far as what we need to do?
I think the chairman hit it on the head. I'm not a very big proponent of the fee structure, right? If you look at what he made last year, it was a $50,000 salary plus about $35,000 in fees. So he got to about $84,000. If we were to run the average from year to year, and I know that's going to vary, he's probably in and around that same amount. So our conversations was, do we just set a straight salary, right? And whether it's based on historicals and an average. I think when you look at like Jefferson Parish, Dr. Satanovich's salary is based on a certain percentage of what the district judges make, which is very weird to me. So everybody does it a little bit different. Some parishes have millages that fund their coroner's office. We unfortunately don't. All of this comes out the general fund. So you don't know, right? So it's at a flat salary, it's a lot easier for us to budget for it because we know what that's going to be. The only additional charges we would have are the lab fees for any autopsies, which are minimal, and then the deaners, the people who actually go in there and physically do the autopsy work, right? So my other concern is that we're paying a fee, but we're also paying two other people to be in the room that we're paying a fee to as well to help perform the work that are technically not coroner's office employees. So there's a lot of quagmires in this.
A lot of them.
So at the end of the day, guys, this is one of the times where I get to go, I got to figure out what happens when it lands on my desk, and I hadn't quite figured that out yet. I guess I'll figure that out in a few minutes after you guys vote, but I still have some concerns specifically about the fee structure and whether or not that incentivizes, as Councilman Adams said, incentivizes somebody to do more autopsies than maybe we need to because they're trying to, do other things. Not saying that's happening, not saying that, I'm not getting into that world, but it goes there.
Yep, which is the same he could have been doing for the last 10 years, right? Same. So the same. Anyway, Councilman Grove.
I have no problem with the fees. I mean, they're warranted, and, I would hope he wouldn't do things to charge more, just like I would hope we wouldn't sign up for every police jury conference and drive to everything, and, I don't send you miles in for every time you go see a constituent. I mean, we don't do that, I mean, there's some things where we do, but if we started doing that, it would look exorbitant too. If we all signed up to go to a police jury conference every year and national things in Washington, I mean, we could do it at the taxpayer's expense, but, having a cap on it seems pretty good to me, and having the cap at 300 and not getting a bill for 500 is where I'm at with that, so.
Good deal. Thank you, Councilman Grove.
Yeah,
Mr. Jones.
One more question. He sent in a bill for $500, right? And the ordinance saying we're paying him $300 for fees?
No, so I don't know, the $500, I have no part of anything about what you're talking about, the $500. I don't know any of that, so if someone else can comment on that, I can't.
That's what I'm saying. We'd have to, should this pass tonight, we're going to have or somebody's got to have a conversation with the coroner to say, hey, regardless of what you think you're worth and whether you think you're worth $500, the most you're going to get paid is $300.
This sets that cap. It's following state statute. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Black and white, right here. Go with that, Jerry? Or answers that question, rather? It's a very challenging, and once again, I'm just trying to get us back to where we were paying for the last 10 years and nothing more, nothing less. With that said, any further discussion by the council? If not, we're going to move this to a vote. You got another question, Terry? All right. With that said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Raise your hand, nays. Okay, jeez. They're not going to be voting. All right. All right, so we had 2 nays, two abstentions.
Wait, who's the nays? JJ.
All right, all right. Let me start over. We're going to do this by roll call. Councilman Jones. Councilman Adams. Councilman DeLynn. Councilman Ote is a yea. Councilman Grove. Councilman Melvin. Councilman Wendell. Councilman Araby. Councilman Lorraine. All right, so we passed with five, thank you, gentlemen. We passed with 5 votes, those votes being Councilman Lorraine, Councilman Arabi, Councilman Grove, Councilman Oten, Councilwoman Chesson. 2 nays, that being Councilman Adams, Councilman Jones, and 2 abstentions, that being Councilman Melvin and Councilman Wendell. All right, whew, thank you all. All right, with that said, we'll move now to item 6. Ordinance granting a variance from the Lafourche Parish subdivision regulations from Lot 14B and Lot 15B in public division of property not fronting a public road in the redivision of Lot 14 and Lot 15 of the division of the estate Gerazim Trustclair belonging to Dono and Angela Labat and Jeanette W. Labat, creating lots 14A, 14B, 15A, and 15B as not recommended by the Lafourche Parish Planning Commission at their January 26, 2023 meeting. Moved by Councilman Adams for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Councilman Wendell. Any discussion from the public on item 6? Okay, Mr. Labat, when y'all get up there, just state your name and address for the record.
Jeanette Labat, 1238 Highway 20, Thibodeau.
Donald Labat, 1234 Highway 20, Thibodeau.
Thank you.
I'd like to first thank you for hearing us out on this variance that we're asking. In late 70s, my husband and I purchased those 2 tracts of land, almost 10 acres, but 2/3 of it is in trees, wetlands. And our dream was to have, family live around us and that kind of thing. Well, I have 14 grandchildren, 14 great-grandchildren almost, and they're all over. Arizona, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, all over. They don't live here. And I have a granddaughter now that wants to live in our area. And I was so excited about that because I would have somebody living. She's a nurse, take care of me, right? And we started the division and looked at everything, and I was just shocked when I found out, well, my granddaughter couldn't build this house because she couldn't sell it unless it was being sold to a family member. And that really shocked me because there are lanes all over Chack Bay. Every little, you go half a mile, there's another lane. There's one right next door to us. So I didn't see the reason. I understand you have to have rules and regulations. I was an administrator, I know about those. But I think in this case, I beg for a variance in this because in our area, it's all land, little lanes. We have a right-of-way. My son lives in that lot next to us, and we have the right-of-way. We just want the ability to have my granddaughter live back there and maybe one other, person. It's not like we're trying to develop a whole bunch of things. We don't have the property to widen another driveway on both sides of our houses. We didn't plan for this. We didn't know about this. So I'm asking for a variance here, and I appreciate you listening to us, and I appreciate your consideration.
Well said.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for them?
No.
No, okay. All right, if you don't mind, Councilman Grow has a question for you.
So what you're trying to do, thank y'all for coming too. And I guess I'll start by saying normally I don't go against the recommendations of the Planning Commission. But in this case, when you look at the maps, there's the Maulers right next to you.
Right.
That have the exact, if you look at the map on page 13, it's the exact same thing. So you have power back there, you have everything.
Yes.
You just want to, I wouldn't buy a house thinking I'd only can sell it to a daughter or
A family
son
member.
or a
I don't
family
think
member.
any of you would invest $300,000 in a new house that you couldn't sell
And
to
you have
anybody but the
utilities.
family member. It's impossible.
The garbage trucks go down Mahler's Lane too?
No, so Marla's
No.
Lane,
No,
Marla's
there's no
Lane was
perpetual.
divided, and there's 3 residents, probably 100 by 100 size lots. Those utilities, drainage, sewage is all independent of those lots. 2 of them go to the swamp, 2 of them go to the highway. The the property we have the road was developed in 1978. So in 78, the road was created and 2 lots were developed. 10 years now, my brother, my mom, myself, I've been there 20 years. They've been there since 79. My brother's been there 10 years in the back lot. So with a legal right-of-way that's in the court systems that we put in place for him to protect for him and his wife living there. So we have utilities down there. We have gas, utilities, power, everything's independent. It's all in place already. We understand that a fire hydrant's going to be required at the highway. That's just not a problem. We put it because it meets the regulations or the rules. So everything's in place. It's just the size of the existing houses we built 20 years ago. It just doesn't provide any other option other than this legal right-of-way we have now.
And I know, when you bring up a point about fire, we've had issues with things like that, but I mean, we get issues on the flip side where people are furious because we don't have zoning and there's a mechanic shop next to them, or better yet, a Family Dollar, which they end up being the best customer after, and that nobody wants a Family Dollar next to them. I don't see why we would let somebody have a Family Dollar right next to your house, but you can't let your daughter or
I totally agree.
family member live behind you. That makes no sense to me. When the road's there, you're not trying to get us to pave it, you're not trying to get us to run lights. I just think it's something we should definitely.
And we're not
move
trying to
forward
make
on.
2 small lots 100 by 100. These lots, my lot would be still 2 acres, and the back 2 lots would probably be each of 2 acres, plus they'd have the whole woods. So you're not talking about a little residence of 100 by 70 by 70 lot. Looking at 2 pieces of property developed, each independently would probably be 4 acres each.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, I went down there and I looked at it. Yeah, it is a road. The road goes almost all the way to the back of the swamp. There is a road already there, and it's more than 25 foot. But they want what? It's 50 foot now or something they want.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's.
And then again, you want to talk about garbage? Most of the lanes down there are too small for the garbage trucks to go down anyway.
everything's down
They
the
don't.
highway.
They don't go.
We bring everything to the highway anyway.
Yeah, if you go over to Sea Moon or the other ones that are right there, you're gonna see they're small. The trucks don't go down there.
And drainage, talking about drainage, if you have other establishments to build, but the elevation between the highway and the woods is 2 feet. So the road was created in 1978, and all the drainage goes down down the lane right now and on the sides of the property.
Yeah.
So
You said the size of the property, but not across. It won't be on, because that's one of the questions I had. So your drainage and your sewer is not going to cross on this particular lot that you're trying to subdivide. It's not going to go across somebody else's property outside of that servitude. So that 25-foot, all the drainage is going to go to there, all the sewer is going to go to that?
everything goes, it's a 2-foot elevation between the highway and the woods. So the back lots on Seymour Lane, the way the sewage was approved or whatever by the Board of Health, those go into the swamp. So your clear water goes into the
Well, you
swamp.
say in the swamp, but if somebody owns that right?
It's in theirs. So you drain your clean water through your septic system, treated system, and it goes into the water.
There's a levee back there.
Yeah, it's
Right, but what I'm saying is staying in this servitude you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The
Yes.
clear water drainage.
Oh, yeah.
And I know one of the other things, because I know DPW, this is where we get challenged, and that's why they have these rules, and if we're not gonna follow them, we really should look at changing our rules, guys.
So let me back up.
But my question, one of the questions I have is, so perpetual maintenance of the road, who's gonna be responsible for that? In other words, if, say, down the road, somebody else buys, because this is the problems that we fight every day.
Right, I understand.
Is that now that the people in the front don't want them going to the back, or they want to put limestone, but they can make them pay, it turns
Yeah.
into a mess.
No, that's already in place. The legal description, the legal access egress states, all 3 of us, whoever's living there, we manage the limestone on the road. To get back to the Board of Health issue, the Board of Health was issued, they came out and they approved everything was approved. They looked at all the treatment centers on all 3 lots and they approved a new one. That's done.
We didn't.
It's just ready to
We
stand.
didn't even know that,
Yep.
this was a rule when we started this.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for our DPW, that's why, when you
Yeah.
start getting outside the
We
families.
understand that.
And my only recommendation, once again, is that we should change the rules, if we're not gonna apply them to everybody. Because for me, it's just unfair that you do for one and we don't do for everybody. If we're gonna do for everybody, I'm good with it. Let's do for everybody.
Yeah,
That's my challenge.
It's hard to create a blanket rule that's gonna apply to someone like us that have
Everybody.
acreage, and you're looking at I can understand if you divide 1 acre, you're trying to divide 1 acre into 2 lots. It's hard.
Look, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
My neighbor's in the same boat. I'm just saying it's rampant like that up and on the parish. I'm just saying we should change, we should amend, if the planning commission, if we don't follow the rules that they have to follow and the decisions they make, we should just change. All I'm saying is we should change the rule. That's all I'm saying. Not just for handpicked people is all I'm saying. Yeah, right. Mr. Lorraine?
This is not the first time this happens.
No.
And I think that it should be case by case. And if the rules of the planning commission need to be changed, one of us up here needs to wake up and change them. According to what they're saying, the health unit approved it, they're bringing the garbage to the front. I mean, and she's finally going to have a granddaughter or something to build a house by. So that, just for that, I think I'm going to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, I would suggest, it doesn't have to be now, but I would suggest moving forward with 2 or 3 of us getting together and writing some things down that need to be tweaked, even get with the planning commission if we have to, just to tweak some of the stuff, because I'm reading some of it and it's kind of head scratching, but I get some of it makes sense, but some of it just doesn't. So, I mean, I'm gonna support this.
Okay. I think that's everybody's, that's all we have for y'all. Thank y'all very much for coming. Does anyone else from the public have any comments on this ordinance? Second call, last and final call. Anyone from the council would like to discuss this one anymore? Yes, sir, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, I'll be the lone nay on variances as usual. So with that said, the motion passes with 8 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman O10. So y'all get to go. Thank you. All right, with that said, I entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Melvin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas and 0 nays. Do we need a recess? Anybody wants to take a break? Yeah. Because it's been a long, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Deland that we take a short recess of 7 minutes. Second by Councilman Melvin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas. Okay, we got a motion on the floor by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Grover to resume regular agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Ms. Deland, could you please read proposed ordinances?
Yes, number 7, proposed ordinance, amending ordinance number 6739 to correct the name of the road from scratched out form to Market Road to Gaines Shortcut Road as it pertains to no dumping, $500 fine, signs to be posted on scratch out form to Market Road, Gaines Shortcut Road, Gaines, Louisiana, Ward 9, District 6, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary no dumping $500 fine signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Mr. Terry Araby. Proposed ordinance 8, establishing a no parking zone, emergency vehicles only and overnight vessel mooring prohibited, and trailer storage prohibited signs to be posted at the Delta Farm Boat Launch, Ward 10, District 8, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof and providing for an effective date. Mr. T.B. Williams is going to take my spot on that one.
Thank you very much, Deland. Item L, resolutions. Number 9, resolution appointing 1 member on the Lafourche Parish Game and Fish Commission Board. Mr. Wendell for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Wendell?
We have 1 vacancy, Miss Monica Hoffpower.
Ms. Hoffpower, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Groh. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 10, resolution appointing 1 member to the Housing Authority of Lafourche Parish Board. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
Yes, Mr. Grogedder wants to be reappointed. He's serving now, and thanks for the lady that applied also. So I'll go with Grogedder.
All right, so Mr. Guidry by Mr. Lorraine. Can I get a second on Mr. Guidry? So moved by Mr. Araby. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 11, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 8A Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
Chris Cortez.
Mr. Cortez, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 12, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 9 Board. Mr. Araby for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Araby? Mr. Breaux, second by Mr. Wendell. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 13, resolution requesting that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers avail itself of its right to appeal the decision of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi to the United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and to the United States Supreme Court, if necessary, to operate the Bonnet Carry Spillway as designed, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 14, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Picciol and Associates Incorporated for the project titled Delta Regional Authority Double Wall Fuel Tank Replacement Grant, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Mr. Wendell will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Resolution approving the services of DRC Emergency Services LLC for contracted services relative to private property nuisance abatement of condemned structures to proceed with demolition and debris removal, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Ms. DeLynn will move on my behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 16, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the LSU Ag Center and Lafourche Parish government to support and administer Louisiana cooperative units off campus, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 17, resolution authorizing 4 Lafourche Parish government employees to participate in the Louisiana Property Assistance Agency Preference Buyer Program, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 18 is being pulled by Mr. Jones. Item 19, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $2,975 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 213 Euclair Drive, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301, assessment number 0010176000, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 20, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $3,880 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning the demolition of condemned structure located at 2043 St. Mary Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301, assessment number 0010013700, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Ms. DeLynn. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 21, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $12,500 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning the demolition of condemned structure located at 203 East 2nd Street, La Rose, Louisiana, 70373. Assessment number 0102552900, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 22, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $2,975 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning the demolition of condemned structure located at 310 West 14th Street, La Rose, Louisiana, 70373, assessment number 0101651000, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 23, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $3,480 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning demolition of condemned structure located at 648 Dalton Street, Racine, Louisiana, 70394, assessment number 0031054100, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 24, resolution accepting the low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $2,975 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning demolition of condemned structure located at 299 Lake Long Drive, Houma, Louisiana, 70364, assessment number 0110827550, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell for the administration, second by Mr. Grow. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 25, resolution accepting low quote from Blue Ant Fence and Shutter Incorporated in the amount of $6,250 for contracted services related to nuisance abatement concerning the demolition of condemned structure located at 137 West 154th Street, Galliano, Louisiana 70354, assessment number 0101911800, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 26, resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action for the Community Services Block Grant, fiscal year 2022 funds, 10/1/2021 to 9/30 of 2023, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 27, resolution accepting the low bid of Norris and Boudreaux Contractors LLC for the project titled Pump Station Rehabilitation Project, Twin Oaks Pump Station Repairs, in the amount of $202,595, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item M, parish president, department heads, directors, or managers' reports, presentations, and/or updates. Number 28, finance representative to present the monthly financial report as required by the state agreed upon procedures for February 2023. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Renita's not here tonight, but you guys should have all gotten an email with the monthly financials. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Very good. Item N, questions for the administration. Mr. Jones, you have the first question for the administration.
On the finance report, Mr. President, I noticed that we paid the registered voter $159,000 in his budget.
Yes, sir.
Do this parish follow the equal opportunity law?
We have to.
Okay, and there is 13 to 15% minorities in his parish. And one thing I've been fighting for, and the people in this parish have been looking for, is a minority working in that office. Can I get you to set up a meeting with yourself, myself, NAACP, the District Attorney Office, and the ROV Office to discuss this matter? Because the state's saying we appointed him. This council appointed him. So he's not elected, he's appointed. So can you please do that?
Yes, sir. I'll have Lori work on that in the morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Melvin.
Real quick, I just had a question. It's mainly for Dylan. Real quick, any update, Dylan, on the sign request I sent in? I'm just trying to. I don't want to send it through if I don't have to by ordinance, but I know we had some questions on some signage that were pretty shoddy.
Yeah, they started working on that about 2 weeks ago. I sent you an email saying that they were starting on a Thursday. They washing the signs that can be washed and replacing the ones that can't.
Okay. I knew they were looking. I just didn't know if they started.
Yeah, they started. We ordered them, and some of the ones that needed to be replaced came in and were replaced.
Okay, great. And also, in regard, and I know we discussed it briefly, in regard to thoroughbred, we'll be looking at getting that kind of maybe cleaning that ditch again or go and see Mr. Huey.
Yeah, it's already on the list, as we discussed yesterday. We just verifying right away, which I'm pretty positive we had it because we cleaned it 2 years ago. So
Thank you,
shouldn't be
sir.
an issue. And if there wasn't a right of way and we did clean some small sections with no objection letter, we're just going to reach out to those landowners again and see.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Adams.
Yeah, Mr. President, the park in Jack Bay.
I wish Mitch was here because Mitch has been dealing with that. We're still going back and forth with the attorney trying to acquire the property. Those are never fun.
Okay.
We're going to get it done.
Mr. Grove.
Yes, I just wanted y'all to take a look, like, when you have time, it's in Councilman Melvin's district, but the Percy Brown Road, evidently the state just did some repairs. I mean, it looks like Ray Charles did it. I mean, I'm no contractor, but whoever did this, all they did was make, like, we used to call them whoop-de-doos when I rode my BMX bike. I mean, it is ridiculous
So
what
all
they
they
did.
all they did was the patching work. They're going to come back and mill and overlay the entire roadway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, it's, they need to
It's-
put some kind of flashing lights all over it is the worst thing we have north of Valentine.
Yeah, we deal with that all the-
Maybe some shell roads or something.
We deal with that all the time. They'll bring in a patching crew and they'll do all the patchwork. That crew moves out and they wait for the milling and asphalt crew to come back behind them. So I'll try to. We have a pre-construction meeting for the Acadia Road roundabout, so the one at Jackson Canal on Thursday with DOTD. So I'll ask them if they have a time frame when they're coming back. Let you know.
And I don't know, I mean, I'm not trying to divert traffic off of it. I mean, shut the road down by any means, but I don't think, it's so hazardous that I don't know how they're getting away with not having some kind of caution lights all over the place, like drive at your own risk. It's bad.
Yeah, so the last one we had like that was McLeod Bridge where they milled it up, and I think they got that done though within, I think, 3 years. And that was, Reggie Boglaw was all over it, so yeah, good luck. And that's, by the way, that's where I have the highest number of fatalities in my area as a fire chief. Mr. Araby.
Chasson, can you give me a little update on the continuations of the speed humps on St. Louis and St. Philip? Did you get your report yet from the sheriff's office?
I have not, and Councilman Adams and I had that conversation. He wants the four in his area too, and I know you and I have had some differences on this, and apparently T-Boy and I are gonna have some differences on this.
8 years?
8 years, right? But I'm gonna follow up with Eddie and Josh and them in the morning again. I have a hard time continuing to spend the money to put these things down until we know that they're working, right? And when you talk to some of the patrol guys and you see the speeding increasing between the speed humps, I mean, it may slow them down for a second, but until we have some good empirical data, it peeves me that we keep putting these things down and
Well,
I don't know if they're working. And understand the community wants them, and I get all that, but I know.
Well, the idea that we agreed on these streets already, it passed by the council 9-0. We told these people we're gonna be putting them down. I did a little research myself, got me a little report, and they are doing some good. Now they speeding where they don't have them at in the back, but they are, according to what I'm understanding, they are doing some good. So I hope that we can continue and at least finish up those 3 streets, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, limestone's the best way to go. If you could put limestone down, they'll slow down the limestone. Mr. Melvin.
So my question is, I know they started the work on Percy, but here's the problem I'm having. So it just seems like rain kind of slowed things down because they did start taking a break. But are they going to do an energy on us? Is that what the surprise is? Because I'm like, well, we get a few days of rain. Maybe that's what it is. They haven't told us anything because normally they'll do what they do and then come back over. That's why I was kind of like being patient, but it's like, so.
And look, it may all depend on where that milling and asphalt crew is, right? They may be tied up on another job because of the rain, and they can't finish that job and move to a new one until they're done. So I'll find out on Thursday.
Usually they do it all at once, but
no, not
because of the rain, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what's.
No, I have in mind. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I thank you, Mr. Grill, for mentioning road, Choctaw Road. We have any information on that one?
So we're going to have a conversation. Dylan and I are going to have a conversation with you after the meeting. The engineer has told us that per his specs, it meets it. We've driven the road. It as Dylan likes to put it, we paid for a Cadillac, and it looks like somebody washed the Cadillac with a mitt full of rocks. And it still drives really good, but it doesn't look all that great.
That's not a new road. We paid for a new road.
We'll have a conversation offline and figure out where to go
That's
from there.
fine.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, quick question, Mr. Lafourche. Those alert strips for Richfield Road, you call them something else. but-
Yeah, the Romo strips. We're gonna reach back out. We haven't got a quote for that yet, which is unlike that company. So I'll reach back up. I know they had a change in ownership, so I'll reach back out to them and see if they can update us on that. We are waiting on another quote for the lights to reinstall the lights on the top. Our current lighting contractor has gone out, looked at the site, and he's preparing a quote as well.
Yeah, and I'll just comment, thank Dylan and all his crew, and, because we're still having these massive amount of structures that sit in our parish that are decimated and people have walked away from, and so I thank y'all. And any comments on how it's going with the summons approach for these, because obviously it's cost-wise, we're getting to the point, some of these, I know they all have resorted to summons. Any comments on that? Want to make any comments on on that aspect of it?
I mean, the one or two that we've gotten through the court system, it's been, hey, you have 6 months to do it, and if not, then the sentence is imposed. So we're still waiting to see if that 6 month timeline works out. I'm hopeful it does. We made a really good dent in what I call the bad debt, right? So we worked with the assessor, finally put all that money on the tax rolls, and a lot of people have paid that stuff off. So we made a good chunk of money back that we were out for a lot of years to the tune of about $900,000. So that part has worked. So if we can, even if the demos keep up at the way they are, what's going to happen is we'll end up putting them on the tax rolls finally because we have a regular system now. Then that property will be adjudicated to us if nobody pays the taxes. We'll be in the real estate market at that game and trying to sell a bunch of properties, but at least we can try to put them back into commerce.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, with that said, brings us to item O, Parish President's final comments.
The only thing I have, Mr. Chairman, real quick, and this is more for Ramon because I know he's still here. So you guys all see a string of emails if you check your email tonight back and forth with Ms. Paula Rome from Energy. So we sent her your name and address, Ramon. So if you don't hear from her in a couple of days, let me or Dylan know. But she's going to look into that poll agreement and see what we can try to figure out what to do with. And the only thing I have, Mr. Chairman, I want to echo what you said at the beginning. Our condolences to Councilman Lorraine on his brother Bap. Really a true public servant, and as much as I hate to admit this, didn't fight maybe as hard as you, but he fought pretty damn hard. So
Yeah, he did serve 2 terms as a town council in Golden Meadow, but he was laid back. He wasn't too active. But he was a good guy. He was out there checking out people, but it's just the 3rd time he ran, he didn't make it. So, but anyway, he's in a good place now.
Yeah, you're right.
What time is the arrangement?
Thank you, man.
What time is the arrangement Friday?
10 o'clock, 10 to 12 at the Golden Meadow Catholic Church on LA1. Friday.
that's all I got, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. With that said, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. So we got a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams, that there be no further business. Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting on March 28, 2023 will be adjourned at 18:27 hours. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays.